You believe being a good person makes you strong. Carl Jung would say it makes you a puppet. This is not an invitation to villainy. It is a warning against a particular kind of weakness, a weakness that masquerades as virtue. The polite, agreeable, and perpetually composed individual is not a master of their domain. They are predictable. And in the chess game of life, the predictable piece is the first to be sacrificed. The strength you believe you are cultivating through sheer niceness is, in fact, a carefully constructed cage. A cage that leaves you powerless against those who understand the parts of human nature you have chosen to ignore. The problem is not that you are good. The problem is that you are only good. And that is not the same as being whole. Consider the manager who prides themselves on being nice. They avoid confrontation. They say yes to every request. And they believe that a friendly demeanor is the key to leadership. Yet their team misses deadlines. There is no sense of urgency, no real respect for their authority. The manager grows frustrated, resentful, but doubles down on their niceness, hoping it will eventually win the team over. It will not. They are trapped in a cycle of their own making, a victim of their own repressed capabilities. The core principle here is that of the shadow. The shadow is everything you repress. It is the vast, unseen continent of your personality, containing all the impulses, desires, and behaviors you have deemed unacceptable. Your anger, your ambition, your capacity for aggression, your selfishness. They do not disappear when you deny them. They are merely relegated to the darkness of the unconscious, where they fester and gain power. For this manager, the shadow contains the capacity for sternness, for setting hard boundaries, for delivering an unwelcome truth. By refusing to own this capacity, they have rendered themselves ineffective. As Jung himself wrote, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. The manager's shadow is dense indeed, and it projects not as overt darkness, but as a profound lack of presence and power. The takeaway is this: refusing to integrate your capacity for what you perceive as negative traits does not make you good, it makes you incomplete. True strength is not the inability to be harsh. It is the conscious, deliberate choice not to be harsh when you possess the full capacity for it. The person who cannot be a monster can never be a saint. They are merely harmless, and the harmless are easily controlled. Now consider a different scenario. The individual in an office who is constantly venomously critical of arrogant people. They see arrogance in a confident colleague's stride, in a well-articulated idea, in any display of self-assurance. This criticism becomes a central part of their identity. They are the humble truth-teller, standing against the tide of ego. But this crusade feels hollow, and it consumes their energy, leaving them bitter and stagnant in their own career. Here we introduce the principle of projection. What irritates us in others is often a disowned part of ourselves. The qualities we cannot accept in our own psyche, we project onto the world around us. We then attack or worship these qualities in others because it is easier than confronting them within. This person has disowned their own ambition. They have labeled their own desire to be recognized, to be exceptional, as arrogant. And so, they must attack it wherever they see it, to keep their own shadow locked away. Jung's insight was precise. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Your emotional reactions are a compass, pointing directly toward the unacknowledged territories of your own soul. The thing you hate in another is a map to your own hidden treasure, or your own hidden demon. The lesson is that your judgment of others is not a sign of your moral clarity, but a symptom of your inner blindness. You are fighting a phantom. The energy you expend, policing the perceived flaws of others, is the very energy you need to fuel your own growth. By refusing to acknowledge your own ambition, you chain yourself to mediocrity and call it humility. This is not power. It is a self-imposed prison of resentment. If you're starting to see how this applies to your life, you're on the right path. Finally, think of the person who finds themselves in a repeating pattern of relationships. They consider themselves kind, stable, and responsible, yet they are consistently drawn to partners who are chaotic, unreliable, or emotionally distant. They lament their bad luck, wondering why they always attract the wrong type, never realizing they are not a victim of chance, but a director of their own unconscious drama. The principle at work is that the unconscious seeks wholeness. Your psyche wants to be complete. If you have consciously over-identified with being good and orderly, your unconscious will be starved for its opposite. It will then project that unmet need onto others. You become irresistibly drawn to the very qualities you have repressed in yourself: the wildness, the rebellion, the freedom. You are not falling in love with a person. You are falling in love with your own lost self. Jung stated, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This process of making the darkness conscious is the only way to break the cycle. Otherwise, you will forever try to complete yourself externally through another person, which is a project doomed to fail. The ultimate takeaway is that your relationship patterns are not a matter of luck. They are a reflection of your own inner division. You are outsourcing your own integration. Until you learn to embrace your own capacity for chaos, for passion, for righteous anger, you will forever seek it in partners who will inevitably disappoint you. True partnership is not found when two halves make a whole, but when two whole individuals stand together. Your goodness is forcing you to seek out a badness that you refuse to acknowledge within. To be good is easy. You simply follow the rules. You become a predictable automaton, a puppet whose strings are pulled by social convention and a fear of your own depths. To be whole is difficult. It requires a terrifying journey into the parts of yourself you have been taught to hate. It demands that you acknowledge your capacity for everything you condemn. This is the path to authentic power. Not the power to dominate others, but the power to be immovably, unapologetically yourself. The power that comes from no longer being at war with your own nature. The person who has faced their shadow is no longer predictable. They are not a puppet. They are the one who sees the strings. What part of your shadow have you been ignoring? Your ambition, your anger, your desire? Acknowledge it in the comments below. If you are ready to continue this journey into the depths of the psyche, subscribe and join us. For a deeper exploration of these concepts, an essential video is now on your screen.